booktubers, it's Ashley Bookishrum, and I am here today with another video. Today's video is my top 10 books of 2016. So I know that everybody has pretty much already shot this video, but I wanted to give myself the opportunity to really go through what I read last year. Considering that I read 200, a little over 275, I believe, something like that, 275, 276 books. I had quite a few to sift through and decide and narrow down to 10. And I was able to narrow it down to 10 finally. So I'm going to share with you those top 10. These are in no particular order. It was hard enough to choose 10, and let alone sitting down trying to put them into the order of my favorite, top favorite, and one at the bottom. I just couldn't do it. It would be way, 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 way too much. So what you're going to see in my top 10 is a combination of new adult, nonfiction, some manga, some historical fiction, some urban fiction, some fantasy, some YA. It's kind of all over the place, which is good. So you guys get to kind of see a little bit of what I really, really enjoyed. And it kind of shows how diverse my reading was this year in terms of genre. I know in 2017 I really want to focus on diversity in the actual storyline for 2017. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm already rambling. You guys know I'm good for that. Let's go ahead and get started so this video is not any longer than it has to be. All right, so the first book on my list for my top 10 favorites of 2016 is Between the World and Me by Ta-Nehisi Coates. And I picked this book up because I had seen a couple of people at work kind of, check it out, and they were reading it and they were really enjoying it. So I decided to pick it up, and it was an amazing nonfiction book. It is not big, not large at all. I actually have done a video review on it. I did a social commentary and a video review tied into one. I'll link that down in the description box below. And I thought it was pretty spectacular. It was thought provoking. It really made me analyze and think about the world around me and how I perceive the world around me and how the world around me actually perceives who I am as an individual. So I really, really enjoyed it, and I think that was one of the books this year that I did end up giving 5 stars to. The second on my list is the amazing Food Wars series. I have been talking about this manga all freaking year, y'all. Like, that's all I feel like I've been talking about is Food Wars, Food Wars, Food Wars, Food Wars, Food Wars. And I'm not ashamed to keep talking about it because it's one of the best shonen manga that I have read. Not that I've read a lot of shonen manga, but from my first couple experiences of shonen manga, Food Wars definitely has taken the cake for it. If you did not know, it is like I said, a shonen manga that is traditional in the sense that it is a battle manga. However, it's a battle with food, and it is intense, and it is amazing. And it basically is about this young kid by the name of Soma who ends up getting put into this elite Japanese cooking school. And from there, we just have all this drama and challenges and competitions. And I just get excited talking about it. I absolutely love it. I have done a full review of volumes 1 through 14, and volume 15 just came out last month, so I'll be picking that up soon. But I will link both of those videos of the first 14 volumes down in the description box below. The third one on my list is Kiss the Sky, and this is part of the Calloway Sisters series, which is a spin-off from the Addicted series, but you kind of read them interchangeably by publication because if you don't, you can spoil yourself for it. But I really, really enjoyed it. It's a great insight or great experience if you're new to New Adult. I read New Adult, I think, the first time in 2015, and it was the Beautiful Disaster series by Jamie McGuire, and I did not enjoy those at all. I did not like the relationship that the characters shared in that series. I thought it was controlling and on the verge of becoming a little bit abusive, but that's just my perspective. I know people who absolutely love that series, and that's fine. I just didn't care for it, so I was kind of hesitant about going back into New Adult. And Carol from, I think it's a book, Wallflower. I think that's her channel name. But anyway, Carol is a really big fan of both of these series, and she recommended them to me, and I started off reading them, and I fell in love. Oh my gosh. So I chose Kiss the Sky, but in actuality, it's the whole Addicted and Calloway Sister series. That is one series that I'm definitely focused on finishing in 2017. Number four on my list is Nana. I love Nana. Nana is a shoujo manga that I actually found because I was watching the anime first. I think I was watching something else, and on Hulu, once you finish like a season of something, it'll automatically switch to something else. I actually think I had finished season one of Food Wars, and then Hulu just started playing Nana, and I was like, what is this? So I started watching it, and I was like, oh gosh, this is really, really good. Then come to find out there is a manga associated with it. Unfortunately, it's only 22 volumes because the artist has taken a leave of absence. It's on hiatus. Don't know if it'll ever be finished, but it's so amazing. And I believe I read the first two volumes of it. So definitely looking forward to continuing reading that. I'm not trying to fly through this because I fly through manga like that. And I know that if I fly through this, I'm going to be very heartbroken and disappointed because there's not going to be more coming out and the series itself is unfinished. Number five on my list is Monster, and I read Monster for the first time in 2016, and it is I only read the first volume, and it was that good. It's kind of like a psychological horror thriller. It's so good. I don't even know how to explain it, and I really don't want to explain it because it has a lot of plot twists and turns, and it surprises you at every corner, and I absolutely love that. I actually did a manga first impressions video on that, so I will link that down in the description box below as well. The sixth book on my list is The Nightingale by Christian Hanna, and this was a historical fiction book that I heard of because of the fact that I had read All the Light We Cannot See earlier in 2016, probably around like March, April-ish. I had read All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, and then I kept hearing people talk about the Nightingale, and I was like, what is this? And I found out that it was another historical adult fiction novel that took place in the same time period, which was World War II. And it was beautiful, y'all. Like, I probably finished the book in 2 or 3 days. It was just fascinating, really, really fast writing, um, heartbreaking. Holy crap. That book broke my heart, left me speechless. It's just great. So now whenever people ask me like, oh, do you know any great historical fiction novels? I will say, oh, if you've read All the Light We Cannot See, read The Nightingale, or if you've read The Nightingale, read All the Light We Cannot See. Like, I often pair those two books together. So that's just kind of like a double deal package that I have going with those books because I absolutely love them so much. Number seven on my list is Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. Holy crap, y'all. If you have not read Mistborn, you need to read it now. It is the first book in the or it's usually it's called Mistborn or it's the Final Empire, depending upon what publisher you're reading it from. But it is the first book in the Mistborn series, and I finally picked it up. I had these books forever. I think I originally got them from Book Outlet, the first trilogy. I got it really, really cheap. I think $3 a piece. And I was like, okay, these books have been sitting on my shelf way too long. I had read Steelheart by Brandon Sanderson. I was like, I want to pick up something else by Brandon Sanderson. I think this is probably shortly after I read Firefight. And I was like, I definitely need to pick up something else. And because I just loved him that much. And I was like, I'm going to start with Mistborn because that's probably the best place for me to start. Because I definitely wasn't going to pick up his epic fantasy, The Way of Kings. I wasn't going to pick that up just yet. So I was like, I'll pick up Mistborn. And I love it. The world building was crazy. The magic system, amazing. Characters, amazing. It was great, y'all. I couldn't have picked up a better fantasy book this year. And if I had to say what was my favorite fantasy book of 2016, Mistborn will definitely be it. And it definitely was a 5-star read this year. I just could not have given it any less than 5 stars because it was everything I ever wanted in a fantasy book and more. Number 8 on my list is Homegoing by Ya Jesse, and this is a 2016 debut literary fiction novel, and it is a amazing family saga. It spans over, I believe, 7 generations. We start off with two sisters, both living in Africa. One ends up living as I don't want to say African royalty, but she lives well off. And I think she becomes the wife of someone who actually deals with slave trading, and she makes a life for herself that way, while her sister is actually sold into slavery and is brought here to America. So we get to see their lineage as a result of those two occurrences and what happens to each family as a result of either living in America or having to stay in Africa. Y'all, if you have not read this novel, I highly recommend it. It is really, really freaking good. It is so good. I listened to it on audiobook and I completely enjoyed it. The guy who does the narration was amazing. And I definitely actually plan on listening to this book again or reading this book again in 2017 because it was just that profound to me. If you cannot tell, this definitely was another 5-star read for me. Number 9 on my list is The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier. This is the first urban fiction book that I've ever read in my life, and it was a best place for me to ever start because it was just that amazing. It was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was everything I could have possibly wanted. I think it's like over a 500-page book, and I end up reading it in maybe 2 days because it was just that fast paced. And it was just that amazing. If you've never read The Coldest Winter Ever, you definitely need to check it out. And I did a full-length, non-spoiler review and a discussion on the book, which I'll link in the description box below. And the last book on my list is a YA fantasy book, and it is the Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy. I haven't read the third book, but I read the first 2 books this year and loved them. I love the main character. If you were looking for great character development and a strong, just badass main character, I definitely would recommend reading the series because it's great. Ray Carson does a wonderful job with this, and I thought her writing was spectacular. And both of these, I think, either got in between 4 to 4.5 stars because they were just amazing. And I definitely plan on finishing the series this year. All right, guys, so those are my top 10 favorite books of 2016. I had a lot of other books that I really enjoyed in 2016, but those are definitely the top 10 that stood out to me. If you have any questions about any of these books, let me know. And let me know also what your favorite books of 2016 were. Make sure you leave them below in the comment box. I love seeing what you guys enjoyed to read and sometimes even what you didn't enjoy to read. As always, I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content from me, make sure you click that subscribe button.